Good morning, my lovely friends. I am up. I think it's just after 7. And I was looking for a place I could hook this phone, which would be really nice. But I don't think I've got anything at the right spot, height, where it would work. So I guess I have to put it over here. But anyways, I was just wanting to chat. I haven't been doing these that often, and mostly it was because my phone's got completely stuffed full, and everything started screwing up, like my Gmail and Messenger. It's a good way to learn through experience what happens gradually as your phone gets overstuffed. And now the logic makes total sense, whereas before probably if someone just told me, it wouldn't have fully made sense. But yeah, it needs a little bit of room for running the programs, so to speak. I guess that's like I might be revealing some of my lack of knowledge in computer stuff, but I think with a main computer or laptop, it's the RAM that runs all the software and stuff, or something like that. But so now at least I'm understanding things a bit better. Um, I always love when you get a little tuft of hair that just flies somewhere else. But who cares, right? Oh God. Oh, anyways, um, so through my videos, I've been trying to reveal my life as it unfolds. And the reason why is because I felt that this hopefully doesn't happen to everyone all at once like this. Losing a life partner, soulmate, um, a large portion of everything they have ever saved up and invested in. In my case, a lot of it was because of lockdown, and definitely even my wife's situation got amplified, let's just say, in many ways. Not saying anything like that would ever be easy, but it definitely was harder. But my main reason for sharing my process is, number one, it's not so odd to lose a loved one. So there may be people just listening along sometime later or now, who are going through something similar and can learn something. And that's why I'm being as honest and truthful as I can be, and as transparent. Um, most of my videos I come across very, very positive, and I'm a very positive person. I don't see a purpose for being negative in a period like this of healing. Um, but at the same time, having said that, there are little chunks of time where grief strikes really hard, and there's almost seeming to be like no way around it. You got to go through whatever it hits you with. Um, and if you have your little bag of tools, you use your tools the best you can, and just swim through it, surf through it. So right now I'm holding space, if I could say it that way. I'm going through one of those difficult times. And they come up when they come up. I'll tell you, this one, I guess the holidays brought it up. And it literally felt like a snap of the fingers when it hit. And it's been about a week. Um, And during this time, it's like just something is just held in my face. Emotions, very intense emotions. I'm a pretty, as I mentioned, I'm pretty positive thinking. I choose to be that way because the negative thinking just doesn't serve me, especially in this kind of process. It just makes things a lot worse. So, get my bottle of water here. Mouth's getting dry. But yeah, you really have to work with yourself and become your own best friend, because as much as people will help you, and how much I am grateful for that, I'll never be able to fully articulate. But no matter how many people are there to help you, there could be someone right sitting beside you with their hand on your shoulder. On a certain level, you're in it on your own. Um, sharing with people, especially people who've lost loved ones. And I'm really lucky because I've got Helena, just 20-minute drive from here, who lost Jay 2 years ago. I've got Karen just up the street, 3-minute drive. And she lost her husband in the spring. And then Helena has a cousin who lost her husband 3 years ago. Although I only seen her once in a while, and I don't really know her very well. But I do know Karen, and I do know Helena. And definitely hanging out with them on occasion helps a lot. And just beyond hanging out with them, just knowing they're around really helps. And like Helena said last night when I was at her place, because she has Wi-Fi, I was trying to activate my new phone and switch all the data over to it from my old phone, and it doesn't matter. She's got Wi-Fi. I've tried everything. Oh, it's the most frustrating thing in the world, this phone. I've done 3 different tries in 2 different Tim Hortons parking lots because of the Wi-Fi. I can't go right in because I don't have a passport. So I'm in the parking lot. And the guy suggested, the Apple guy suggested, that it might be that the Wi-Fi just isn't strong enough because I'm not inside or whatever. And so I tried a McDonald's, their Wi-Fi, I couldn't even find it. And then I tried another Tim Hortons, and same thing. I tried 3 times, 3 different specialists, and they just couldn't figure it out either. The only thing they could come up with is the Wi-Fi signal wasn't consistent enough and strong enough. So then I went to Helena's last night, and she has good Wi-Fi. Still wouldn't work, so I put it on one more try and left everything there, so I can at least find out one more go. So when I get to Helena's place today, pick it up. If it hasn't gone through, then I'll phone them and just say, what's up, But I know the answer. It will just be, well, we don't know. You'll have to bring it to one of our stores, and we can use a diagnostic thing and whatever. So whatever. I'm, one side of things, I have to look at them, or I choose to look at them, as all as teaching tools. So I just got to look at that. Helena mentioned it last night. She said, don't look at this as just wasting your time, wasting basically 2 days of your life. Look at it as an opportunity to learn something, and there's something that's going to come through, or something that's going to be avoided that you wouldn't have wanted, or, it's all going to be good. And she's right, by doing that, you kind of set up the tracks ready for the best outcome, rather than dragging your own self down with sandbags. And that one I've definitely found very important when something as heavy as this. Don't entertain negative thinking at all. It's like concrete, cement boots or whatever. in the water. You just don't want to mess around with negative thinking. Um, in a lot of ways, you're going to become your own hero. You're going to earn that self-respect. And I'm not saying you don't have self-respect, but this will take you to a whole new level. A whole new level of depth of your soul, gentleness with other people, because you have so much more room for compassion. So much room for compassion. It is crazy. So I think I've mentioned before, there are levels and layers of this whole thing that if you look at it from the right perspective, it's worth being grateful for. I choose to be grateful for every single thing that's happening, no matter how difficult it is. Like right now, thank you, universe. I am so grateful. Even though I am feeling a lot of emotional pain right now, I am so grateful for that which I am being blessed with, but I cannot see the whole picture because I'm up too close to it. This is what I choose to focus on. And I choose to say it out loud sometimes, because sometimes just quietly to yourself is not enough. And I try sometimes even to say it like really out loud. I'm out walking the dogs or something, and I'll just say it out loud like I'm talking to someone a little bit further away. And somehow that resonates in deeper. And I also focus on opening my heart, because often I feel that the constant impact of challenges that come my way can sometimes seem a little bit like machine gun fire, and it just, or hail, and it can just seem too much. And the only way to get through that is to just open your heart and let the tears flow. I find the whole tear flowing thing and heart opening come hand in hand. Not saying that your tears have to flow to open your heart, but or to have an open heart, but when there's a certain release and tears come with it, and there's a certain kind of almost squeezing of your heart, the emotions, and clearing out hard, difficult sorrows and things. And in their place, I find my own experience here. In their place, it's not always that instant, but quite often, if you really, really pour your heart out onto the slab, so to speak, make a massive offering of your heart to your, to your soul, to your higher self, to the universe, you'll figure it out. And this is where that kind of spontaneity comes in really well, because you are digging into your heart and exposing a very vulnerable part of yourself. And I can't explain the whole process exactly, but in this process, I find art, creativity processes this stuff really well. Hence why one of the reasons why I want Nomad Village to be a healing place, which I've always wanted, but I want heavy focus, everything in some way to be kind of an art therapy. Because I find, expressing yourself with your heart open, like not just art in its own way, although that can lead the way to this on a spontaneous level without any instruction. But I cannot emphasize how valuable. I watch my clients for their soul prints every time, and I've had clients with deep sorrows, at least as heavy as this, and I've been present with them, and I've done my best to not try and counsel them in any way, but to just be there for them, to be their witness, to be their sounding board, um, to be present with their experience and their pain, and to be loving enough to help them through their journey with the soul print the way I know how. And folks, I tell you, the soul print, when I can fully articulate the depths of how I even understand what the soul print does, oh boy, it is such a healing modality. And I have watched people go through processes that are so intense with the aid of the soul print experience all through, the everything about it. I remember talking to my really good friend Janine Sanderson. She's a hypnotherapist, and actually before that reading her book, and she mentioned how trauma is still, in her opinion, her experience, the most effective way to cause a shift, like a deep, profound shift in a person. She said the only problem is with trauma, there isn't a way to control it, the outcome. So you may be one of those rare people that see the light and have a near-death experience, and nothing can ever get you down ever again. And you travel the world counseling people and uplifting people, or you can be traumatized to such a degree that you can almost never get out of it. It's really luck of the draw in some ways, or maybe it isn't luck. But when I read that, something clicked. And just in a little capsule aside from this, so I don't go off too far on a tangent, this gives an example of where I feel people step into your life, and our lives, not haphazardly, and sometimes in exactly the right timing, and some exact something triggers something in you and activates something. And that could be all that person ever does. You never see them again, or they could come into your life and you see them more often. But I truly believe there are people that are here, some kind of soul family, and their presence activates something in others of us. Um, I call it magical, for lack of a better term. I guess you could call it ordinary once that's normal. And that would be interesting if that's part of the process. What if this is all part of a larger healing process? I hope it is. I hold on to that. I'll tell you the truth. Maybe I'm a dreamer. I'm proud of it. I was called a dreamer when I was a kid, daydreamer, whatever. And I found life unbearable, especially I would go off in daydreams, and it helped me through things. So, but anyways, yeah. So I realized at that point that, going back to Janine Sanderson's point about trauma and its potential to change us, and I immediately had this knowing, the soul print part of the process, the mechanical aspect mostly, causes in people. People come to my table, to my door, and say, I'm a little bit nervous, and I'm a little bit excited, and a little bit of fear, a little bit of this. And I always say that's the perfect recipe. With with an open heart, you're ready. Um, the the soul print, I believe, one of its values, as I'm mentioning, is, and I'm not using this word properly, and I'm aware of that, but you'll get my drift. The soul print is like, well, it's like a microdose. That would be a proper use. It's like a microdose of trauma. It is a microdose of trauma. But on such a delicate level, on such a subtle level, not necessarily delicate. not exactly the right word, but subtle and deep level that it can with the rest of the process that I've developed, or you could say more truthfully realized over time with the help of my clients' feedback and sharing. So we've done it together, you guys. Those of you, you know who you are. In my opinion, the soul print process surfaced through me, granted, but I believe it's not from me. It's more through me. And I would believe I dreamed it as opposed to created it, using a way of using that word that Dr. Jacqueline Dodds, I think it is, mentioned, Oracle Girl, that some things are dreamed into reality because they didn't not exist before. They just didn't exist in this reality. That kind of concept, and it's a feeling I get. Sorry, that I'm leaning back on my lungs here. Just got up. Um, it's a feeling for me, and that feeling's stronger now, that the soul print is not something that came from my imagination alone. I may have used my imagination to conjure it, to bring it to the surface. But I do believe it's just a feeling that it. Well, number one, I believe that the tattoo, indigenous, probably initial tattoo process. Anthropologists all agree they would use the term healing, but very different from just a Western tattoo parlor approach. And when I got into tattooing, it was the depth of the experience that drew me in. So I was interested in, and influenced by indigenous tattoo practices of all kinds. And for that, I'm so grateful for any information I was able to find. And I'm so grateful for these um, groups, cultures, societies, tribes throughout time. And also finding information every so often. And an archaeologist finds some proof of tattooing that goes back, predates what was found before. So I believe in history, tattooing's always existed as long as we have. Um, kind of mysterious when you think of it that way, and I don't exactly have the words for it, but I think that we are kind of joined at the hip in some way, humans, and the deeper tattoo experience that I have kind of contemporized and adapted to our needs now in society, and I've called it the soul print. Um, but yeah, folks, it is very deep. Um, the potential for healing is so profound. And when I'm going through something like I'm going through now, it just deepens my ability to feel people. Um, it deepens my ability to love people. It reduces any tendency towards seeing division. And I guess that's from the compassion. And I guess through there somewhere, forgiveness comes in. And sometimes it's unconscious forgiveness. It melts away, which I really do like the feeling of, I will tell you. I just wish I didn't have to achieve it through going through something like this. But when it's happening and there's no other choice, the best thing to do, I find, is to focus on I'll call them the rewards. It's not really the best word for it, but yeah, focus on the good things that can come from it. Um, and in my case, I focus on just feeling Raven's presence and her assisting me, her energy assisting me. And I guess one thing that I'm going to share, not a guess, but so hard to speak from the heart about such deep and personal experiences. It's so intimate. The experience I'm going through, I will not lie, is very, very, very intense. I have never, ever come across such a deep and challenging experience ever in my life. And of course, I know it's amplified and compounded by a bunch of other things. I'm talking about, losing my loved one, my love, my soulmate, being compounded by other things. And for sure, I'm sure mourning, grieving, in the luxury of and comfort of sitting in front of a wood stove and things like that, or definitely is a little bit more comfortable than in another condition, and so on. But I have what I have, and I make do with what I have and what I've got, and I'm trucking through it. Uh, and I'm doing my best to stay as clear-minded, clear-headed as I can, heart opened, and I'm doing my best to listen, walk quietly with respect and gratitude at every turn. Thank the universe, thank Source, because I believe that I am being gifted with something so precious that nothing compares. And that this loss that I perceive was part of that gift, more of an exchange. And I believe in some manner, Raven and I, before birth, before coming into existence as Damon and Raven, made some kind of contract. And Raven, bless her soul, chose to go through that part of the experience that she went through to assist me, and I think in turn to assist us, whatever us is, through going through what she went through in order to trigger what I'm going through, and knowing that it would be excruciating for her and for me, and such a challenge. But that's the level of the soul gift, if you want to call it, that I feel I've been given from my love. And it's that which keeps me moving through this and keeps me working this with an open heart, no matter how hard it is. Because Raven, or that which is preceding Raven, her love goes so deep that she could gift me with this, knowing it would hurt me so much, but ultimately it would take me into another level of being. Maybe she could see as well some kind of perspective from a different height. Also, to see that in that helping me, I would be able to help others. I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. With what's going on right now in the world, so many people are hurting and so many people are scared. And I want to do whatever I can to help them, and organizing and setting up this retreat center is what's pulling me through, that hope, that optimism, and that sense of a calling, of a purpose really, really uplifts me and helps me get through this quicksand of emotions and feelings of being trapped and feelings of being really alone at times. Because I try not to talk about what's going on in the world. So I feel like all I do is invite some kind of conflict or another angry person or something, judgment. And frankly, I'm just so much like my skin is being peeled off and I just have all my nerve endings at the surface that I just need the time to heal a little bit myself before I do anything to invite angry people lashing out. But at the same time, I owe sharing my truth. And what I will share with my truth is that, and I don't think anyone can deny, I'm not going to choose to interpret anything, but what I do see is a lot of emotional pain and anguish and mental issues and suicides and other illnesses compounded because of the stress that people are going through. This is not humane, folks. And if even 5 people snap out of this belief that this is okay, doesn't mean you have to stop believing that what you're doing is right or wrong or whatever, but just that the fallout is not okay. You can be pro this, pro that, but just speak up if you feel like this is not the right way to do it. That's all. But anyways, leave that alone. Because the biggest thing I want to share is just when you find yourself in such a difficult situation, whether it's because you've lost someone, and I do believe because more and more people are leaving this planet, there's going to be a lot more people going through this kind of grief, this kind of trauma. So that's why I'm sharing it, because I'm anticipating